Welcome to DS Trucks. In this video, I want to talk about how to improve the performance of your salt if you are spreading salt out of your spreader. Check this out. So what I do is I put calcium chloride in my hopper. So here's a product that I use. It's just what's available locally. It's just calcium chloride. But this is the product that has a much lower freezing point than salt. Now, mixing this in, so I got a 2-yard spreader. Usually I'm at half capacity, but for a ton of salt or 1 yard of salt, I will put a half a bucket in the spreader and I'll just spread it around. I'll put it around the perimeter of the V, because the spreader is shaped kind of like a V. I'll put it around the perimeter and I'll spread it around the perimeter, about a half of a bucket for a ton. And if I do 2 tons, I'll spread it around, and you'll see it when you spread the salt. You'll see the stuff is mixing into the salt, and it comes out through the entire spread of the salt. By just pouring it around the perimeter, you see it mixing in, and you can see these little pellets come out from time to time, and it kind of stays with the product, with the salt, until the salt's gone. But it pretty much just gets the salt started. You know, when it gets cold, say like, well, salt's good for like 5 degrees technically, but overnight, you know, it's not uncommon to get into those temperatures where salt's no longer effective, and then it has to melt again in the sunlight and all that stuff. This morning we had a situation where it was 16 degrees and we had this thick stuff, like some of this stuff. The salt, it just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough to get this thicker ice melted. I actually made the mistake of letting some of those commercials go until Monday, to the Monday opening, and then it was a nightmare trying to get that salt to actually melt some of the freezing ice that started to form. So what I was doing is like putting down my salt and driving over it so the friction of the tires could warm up the salt, and I was scraping it with the blade so the friction of the blade could kind of activate that salt. I was doing all kinds of tricks, but I didn't have this stuff on hand. If this was available, if this was in there, it would have actually helped, because even though 16 degrees is technically enough heat for the salt to work, sometimes, you know, if we get into a good freeze, that ground temperature could still be too cold, or just it's just too much. You know, if you're at 28 degrees, your salt's going to perform faster than it does at 15 degrees. So this just takes the chemistry to a better place, and allows you to have a higher performing product. Now, cost effective, $20. I would put this $20 on top of 2 tons of salt, so $10 a ton. It increases the cost of the salt a little bit, but you know, for a ton of salt, you're looking at like $90 in my area right now. At the time of recording this video, you're about $90 for a ton of salt. Then you add another $10 to that salt, but in turn improve its performance. I think it's most definitely worth the money to do it. It's a little work, you know, got to lift this heavy bucket up above, you know, the hopper and put it in there. But you think about the cost of it. I mean, these pre-wet systems and the liquid brine and all that stuff's expensive. This is just cheap compared to that. So I think it kind of rivals the performance of that, being that it's calcium chloride and it works. I think it probably has a temperature written on it, works down to negative 25 degrees. So it just gets it started so the salt can come in. It's probably not going to achieve that negative 25 degree, being that it's mixed with salt. I don't know, but it does seem to just blow the performance out of the water. So something I'm doing now that we're into like January, where it gets cold. It's something I'm doing now. November, December, it ain't that cold, so maybe not so much in that times. But when it comes to that morning opening, and if you're running late, or you're just putting that product down right when maybe the property manager gets there, then yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour this into the truck, and we'll see how it looks. See you guys once it's poured inside the truck. All right, guys, and there you have it. So the calcium chloride is spread around the perimeter, as you can see, and it's just over half of the bucket. But this stuff will just kind of work its way into the salt as we are spreading it, and it will improve the performance of the salt. But anyway, guys, that's it for this video. This is DS Trucks. My name is Sean. Thank you for watching. Drop me a sub and see you in the next video. Over and out.